Logan here again with Master Reef, and in this video we're going to go over how I keep my phosphates at an undetectable level in my reef tank. So we're looking at my sump underneath the stand of my reef tank, and if you look back on the back edge of my sump, I have a BRS dual reactor that I just have sitting there. It's not mounted to anything, it's not plumbed into my return pump, it's on a separate pump of its own, and I just have it that way so I can take it in and out of the aquarium and service it every 4 weeks, which is about what I do. So let's get it out of here and take a look at it. So here's the reactor out of the sump, and these are the products I use to keep my phosphates under control. I'm using bulk reef supply, granule, ferric oxide, and just some carbon from Walmart. I don't use BRS brand or rocks or anything like that. I probably should, I just don't. But I'm going to show you now. I'm going to take my reactor apart now, and I'll show you how maybe I run mine just a little bit different than some of the other people. So let's take the reactor apart. I already loosened these up. They were a lot tighter than just hand tight. So I'm going to go empty these back into the sump. So I got them emptied back out to the sump. Now I'm going to pull the cartridges out, set them in the sink. You can see that this one has a little bit of gunk on it. Not too bad. I'll reach down in there with a little brush and get that stuff out of there. I always keep a pair of pliers because this thing always seems to be stuck a little bit. And you just got to get it turned just a little bit and then it pops right out. I'm going to go ahead and remove my top sponge out of each one. And then I'm just going to empty these into the trash. Alright guys, so to keep the video a little bit short and to make it easier to upload, I'm going to go ahead and forego the cleaning process, and I'll get back to you with it when I'm getting ready to add the carbon and the GFO. Alright guys, so we got everything cleaned up and now it's time to start putting the reactor back together. I just wanted to say that I do keep extra sponges from bulk reef supply on hand, because sometimes these things get really grungy and it's just like, I'm done, I'm going to pitch them. But everything's pretty well cleaned up. I took a little bottle brush and went in and got everything, and so now I'm going to show you how I run my GFO and my carbon. So I've been running GFO on my systems now for 5 or 6 years, all the way back to when I had the 29-gallon BioCube, and I figured out this little method of mine way back then. So I put my sponge in and I put it all the way down to the bottom. For the system size that I have, bulk reef supplies calculator calls for about 0.78, about 3/4 of a cup of GFO. So I've got a 1/4 cup measuring cup here. So I'm basically going to take one cup and maybe, and I'm shooting for half of another. And then I'm going to add my carbon right to the GFO. So basically, I put these two together in a sandwich bag, and I'm just gonna shake it all up. I want to get the GFO just mixed in real well with the carbon. That way, when I look at it, it's just nice and speckled. I don't know if I can get this on camera, but there's no big patches of GFO. It's just really dispersed in amongst the carbon. And when I get it all shook up, I'll go ahead and add it to my first reactor. Alright guys, so there's half of my GFO dosage in my first chamber of my reactor, and it's all mixed in with my carbon. it's just black and brown speckles. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other reactor, the other side of the reactor. Also, what I've found, guys, is that sometimes I'll miss the mark on my carbon. I won't get enough in there. But as long as I get it dispersed real nice into this amount, I'll go ahead and pour it into my reactor, and then I'll just top off the rest of it with carbon. This one's about perfect where I like it. So we'll see how close I came on this one. Alright guys, so I got a little bit less than that one, but it's really going to work just fine. So now let me show you how I rinse it. While I was doing all that, I had a gallon jug in under my RO spigot filling up, and basically I just pour about a half a gallon of RO water through the reactor. It's kind of slow at first, then it takes off and you see all the black dust coming off the carbon. Like I said, I'll just pour about a half a gallon through each one, and it's usually coming out pretty clear by then, clear enough that I can go ahead and put it back in the system, and I point the outlet on my reactor towards a filter sponge that I have, and I've never really seen it collect anything, but so it seems like about a half gallon will do it. So I know a lot of people, they tumble their GFO, and I tried that in the beginning, and I just never had great success with it. It just always wanted to get clumpy. It would start out tumbling where I liked it. Every day I had to look at it, and this is just really a set it and forget it. I know my carbon gets exhausted long before my GFO, and that's something I'd like to do in the future, would be to do a little bit of experiment with testing and stuff and see if I could cut my GFO dosage down to try to be able to change it more often, to be able to change my carbon more often. But really about once a month is all I'm doing this, and it seems to work just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and keep rinsing this, and I'll get the reactor back together, and we'll get it installed, and we'll talk a little more. Alright guys, so we got all the media changed out, the reactor's back in the tank, up and running. I'm going to get in the armchair here and take the time to input the fact that I changed my media into my spreadsheet where I keep all my tank parameters. That way in 3 weeks or 4 weeks I'll be able to look back, see the date when I did it, and know that it's time to do it again. I hope somebody out there gets some use out of this video, finds it informative. I want to say thanks to everybody that's been watching my videos and all the new subscribers that I'm getting. I do plan to do a giveaway when I get to 500, so stay tuned for that. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching.